Okay, welcome back for segment 2. So for this segment, we are going to finish a little bit of lesson A with some more vocab practice and listening practice. And before we jump into that, let me just use this chance to remind you, if you have not taken the test, I will still accept your test, your effort, your attempt. And so I have collected and graded those of the tests that I have received. But if you would like a chance to finish, please send that to me whenever you can, because we are actually going to take another test very soon. And so I have decided, because the first test we had recently was relating to units 9 and 10. So our final test for this term will include units 6, 7, and 8. So 3 units. I will combine a little bit from each chapter, including vocab and some listening practice, and of course probably the grammar points, since we spend a lot of time doing those exercises and checking together. So I'll leave it to that, and I look forward to receiving your test, your first test, if you would still like to give a try. Okay, so at this time, let's continue to finish lesson A in the workbook. And so we left off at the end of segment 1 by finishing this box in the listening part. So at this time, let me challenge you to pause the video for a few moments. I would like for you to try to complete practice 2 below, as well as practice 3 and 4. So you need to use the information from this exercise in the gray box that we completed before our first break. Okay, and so I'll give you a few moments to do that, and we will come back and check together. Okay. So at this time, let's start with exercise 2 and check your answers. So we have topic on the left, and then Marina's answers on the right. And the first example is given for us. What job is she applying for? She's applying for the reservations desk. Okay. Now, the second question, what's her native country? She is from Senegal. 3, what's her current job? Right now, what's her job? She is a cashier. What's number 4? What office machines can she use? Okay, she mentioned in the last paragraph she is comfortable using a computer, a copy machine, and a fax machine. Okay, number 5, her strengths. What are her strengths? Remember, it's a positive ability, something you can do. So she said she is responsible and friendly. So, reliable, responsible, same meaning. We found the answer here for number 3 and 4. Okay, so how did you do in exercise 2? Let's go on to exercise 3. Okay, now in this exercise, you needed to imagine that you are Marina and you are in a job interview. So you need to give your answer in a complete sentence. So we have a question in A and give the answer in B. So the first one we have already. Where are you from? I'm from Senegal. Okay. So this could be imaginary practice for a job interview. Number 2, what kind of work do you do? And what do you say? What's your answer if you are Marina? I'm a cashier. Where? In a pharmacy. We have the answer at the beginning of this part. All right. Number 3, what office machines can you use? Okay. We talked about that just before. I can use a, what does she say? Computer, a copy machine, and a fax machine. Number 4, what other job skills do you have? And her answer, I speak French fluently and English fairly well. Okay, so just try to make a complete sentence with your answer. Number 5, are you taking any classes to improve your job skills? And what would her answer be? Yes, I'm going to college to get a degree in hotel management. Where do we see that answer? At the end of paragraph 1 here. The last question here, what are your personal strengths? Very common job interview question. What's her answer? What should her answer be? Maybe she will say, I am reliable and friendly. Okay, so personal strength relates to her personality. So think about personality traits, friendly, trustworthy, okay, and so on. All right, so let's go to the next exercise, and this is a little bit of fill in the blank, a little more vocab practice and review. So we have background, employed, get along, interview, shift, and strengths. Okay, we have the first example. I have many friends at school. I get along with everybody. What about 2? I don't have a job now. I am not currently employed. Okay, this is a common expression. Are you currently employed? I am currently employed, or I am currently unemployed. So the third one of my blank is that I am very reliable. Reliable, positive adjective, right? Which word talks about positive abilities? Strengths. Okay, so 3 is strengths. Number 4, I have a job blank next week. Interview. I have a job interview. Number 5, I can't work during the day. I need to work the night blank. So I mentioned to you earlier, day and night shifts. Okay, so this is the period of time that you work. And the last one, number 6, can you tell me more about your blank? I'd like to know more about you. Okay, in this case, the word is used in a general sense, a general meaning. And there's only one answer left. Background. Okay, so tell me about your background, meaning your history, your life experience. Okay, now we have one more listening challenge. I'm going to use this cue reader here, and you may want to listen again for a little bit of listening practice. And so we're going to talk about Geraldo. I believe it's a Spanish name, and the G will sound like an H. So let's check it, and you can listen and choose the correct answer. Ready?
Good morning, Geraldo. I'm Kim Lee, the personnel manager for the ABC company.
Good morning, Ms. Lee. It's nice to meet you.
I see that you filled out the application for the position of building manager. I have a few questions. Could you please tell me a little about your background?
Well, I was born in
Pardon me.
Argentina, but I've been living here in Canada since I was 12. I just finished my degree in electronic technology at the community college last year.
What have you been doing since then?
Well, I've been working part-time as a custodian in the building where I live, but I'd like to get a better job with more opportunities.
I understand. Now tell me, what skills do you have for this job?
Well, of course, my experience as a custodian will be useful. I'm also a licensed electrician and a plumber.
Very good. And what personal strengths make you a good person for this job?
Let's see. I'm hardworking, and also I'm a good people manager. I can work with different repair people and technicians to take care of the building.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. It's very important to get along with people in this job. So, Geraldo, we have one or two other people to interview, but you are certainly qualified for the job. I'll get back to you soon, probably at the end of the week.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. I appreciate the chance to interview for the job.
Okay, let's pause there. And I apologize, I thought my phone was off, so I had a text unexpectedly, and you might have missed a little bit of the information. So if you need to, listen again using the Q reader. So now, she pronounced his name with a G, Geraldo. That's the English pronunciation. The Spanish is Geraldo. So number one, what job is he applying for? If you could catch it. Okay, the building manager. Now a little bit tricky is that he mentioned he has several other job skills and abilities. And so we'll see if you could catch those in a moment. Where is Geraldo from? He is from Argentina. Okay, that's the English pronunciation, Argentina. I think Spanish, Argentina. Anyway, I'll ask my husband. He speaks Spanish. Number three, at the moment, he's working part-time as a blank. So right now, at the moment, he's working as a custodian. However, he did mention that he is skilled as a plumber. Okay. The fourth one, Geraldo tells Ms. Lee that he is what? Hardworking. That was the first adjective that he gave in his answer, hardworking. Okay, now there was a lot of other information we heard there, and this is a very typical job interview in English. So perhaps you can listen again and see if you can catch any of the vocab that we reviewed at the beginning of segment one. So we have completed lesson A, okay? And so I hope that it's a good review for you relating to vocabulary and listening skills because we are going to have a small listening part on the test again. So now I mentioned to you before that we have already completed lesson B and C for Unit 8 in the workbook. So I'm going to just do a quick review because lesson B, we talked about present perfect continuous verb tense. Okay, present perfect meaning has or have, and then perfect tense, usually we have been or another past participle. Now, if it's continuous, we need a verb plus ing. So, for example, I have been baking more at home. I don't normally bake a lot of things, but during the coronavirus season, I have been baking at home. Have plus been plus verb ing. Now, with the present perfect progressive, or I often called it PPP, you remember, we talked about two key words, since and for. Remember that? Okay, so a very quick review. Since I used to describe a specific time. So it is used with specific dates, for example, October 13th, 2007. Okay, now in this case, I would probably use just the simple present perfect. I have been married since October 13th, 2007. Okay, now I could say I have been studying Chinese language for a long time. Okay, I used for, and I used an expression for a long time. All right. So going back to since, we could use this with a specific year. Okay, I have been in Atlanta since June 2019. So I have been here almost exactly 1 year. Time flies. Okay, now also relating to since, we might use the word last. Since last week, since last year, since last month, or even since yesterday. Okay, so remember, we can't say since last day. We have to use a special word, yesterday, instead. Okay, so we have specific dates, or years rather, and a specific date, and then last with either month, year, weeks, and so on, or yesterday. Okay, so this is a specific time. All right, now for, we mentioned, is a period of time with a beginning date and an ending date. Or if it's progressive, it's still going. So in this case, we see numbers, 2 weeks, 3 days, 10 years. Okay, so first week, second week, during this time, this period of time. Okay, 3 days. So starting 3 days ago until now. 1, 2, 3, during this time period. 10 years. Okay, beginning 10 years ago until now. So this period of time. Okay, and then a phrase such as for a long time. All right, so I hope that helps a little bit to remind you about these important words, since and for. Since and for. So maybe at this time, since we are using our workbook, you can take a moment to refresh your memory. Look at your answers previously on pages 92 and 93. And so we had to do practice with, let's see, choosing the expressions according to our options here, since or for. We practiced making sentences with present perfect progressive and for, since, or all. Okay, we also practiced writing questions and then giving 2 answers. Okay, so I'm just going to remind you by looking at the examples given for each exercise. Okay, so if we look at this chart on page 92, we have for, since, all, and we discussed how we need to use the expression for a long time. Okay, answer behind me. For 1 hour, for 3 months, for 2 weeks. And since, we talked about before, since September, since Tuesday, Okay, now I need to add here also a specific day of the week. Okay, since Tuesday, since Wednesday, or since last Tuesday, since last Wednesday. Okay, and then a specific time. Let's add that here, 2 o'clock. I have been studying here since 1:30 p.m. Specific time. Okay. And then all day, all week, all morning, all year. And then let's remind ourselves with the example given in exercise 2. Okay, Kendra has been working in the library since October. Okay, so in this example, I gave the specific day and month, but I could also just use the day. Sorry, I could also use the month. Since October, since November. Okay. Now, before we have already completed these. And so let's look at one more example with exercise 3, making the question and answer. So example 1, Alicia and Claire started painting the house at 11 o'clock a.m. It is now 11:30 a.m. How long have Alicia and Claire been painting the house? Okay, and answer, since 11 o'clock a.m. or for 30 minutes. Okay, now, before we continue to segment 3, I would like for you to take a few moments to review. Go ahead to look at lesson C in the workbook, page 94, 95, and refresh your memory because we have already completed these exercises. And you may also want to go back and look in our green student book. Okay, lesson C dealt with phrasal verbs. So you might remember all the phrasal verbs I wrote on the board, and we talked about separable and inseparable. So very quickly we will talk about that because we did already have a small section on the last test. All right, I will see you soon for segment 3.